Hello, I'm Sensei Ronald Small of the Western Mountain Jujutsu Society, and I'm really excited to be bringing you this YouTube project. I think it's only appropriate that I start with honoring where a lot of my knowledge came from, and that would be from my friend, my sensei, and my father, Ron Small. So I'm really grateful to be here this evening with him to discuss a little bit about the roots of our jiu-jitsu, where it comes from. It's really been a long time now at this point, hasn't it, Sensei?
It has.
I would say 1982, I think, is when we decided that we officially established the Western Mountain Jujutsu Society. I say we, me, you. I mean, not me, you, rather, but I was just there to get thrown around. But it's been a great learning journey for me. But I wanna talk more about you, Sensei, and your journey back when you got started in studying martial arts. Give you an opportunity to speak a little of the teachers that you learned from, and how you came to start studying jiu-jitsu in the first place.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I started studying in 1963, in the summer of 1963. I studied with Gene Sparks, who was Eugene Sparks, the Boulder Police Department self-defense instructor. And he had been studying at the American Budo College in Denver with Srihan Goody. So there was an association there, and the American Karate School in Boulder, which was also a satellite school of the Denver dojo, was where I first took classes. It's a karate school. It actually taught Tang karate, but the 8-week class that I took there was in traditional jiu-jitsu, controlling techniques, restraints, and at the end of 8 weeks, I thought I had learned almost everything. And then I met Srihan Goody, and 3 or 4 of his black belts who came down and did a demonstration for us. The first time I had seen anything outside the dojo, outside the American Karate School. And it was amazing. He demonstrated classical jiu-jitsu techniques, he demonstrated Aikido, Yawara. He brought in 3 or 4 of his black belts, and they took falls that I thought were incredible. And I said, wow, I'd like to continue studying this. And so I immediately enrolled in the jiu-jitsu classes in Denver and continued with a class in Boulder. And that's where it started. So I studied in Denver for the next 4 or 5 years, got to be Yodansha. In the meantime...
But what year would that be now?
1967. The year that I was promoted to black belt. A year later, I was promoted to second-degree black belt and appointed a sensei and became the teacher of the jiu-jitsu class at the American Karate School in Boulder. Of course, I continued to travel from Boulder to Denver at least once, and often twice a week, to study at the Denver school. And at the same time continued training in, and I had started in Tang when I was a green belt in jiu-jitsu, so by now I was, in fact in 1968 I became a Yodansha in Shingo-Juru karate, which embraced the Tang style.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I could ask you a little bit more about some of the teachers who you learned from when you were studying at the American Budo College.
Right. My principal teacher was Sensei Walter F. Doris. Srihan Frank J. Goody was the head instructor and just simply known as the sensei of everyone who studied there. And,
I don't think I've heard that before.
Well,
interesting.
He was almost every one of his students was absolutely his student and virtually nowhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And he himself had extraordinary history and training, both in the formal martial arts and as a Marine combat instructor in the Pacific Theater during World War II. My teacher, Sensei Walter F. Doris, was a Marine, but he didn't serve in World War II, being a little too young for that. And he had two brothers, one of whom, Doris, taught me a lot about groundwork and mat work, as we referred to it back then. Sensei Don Walker, Yodansha Don Walker, actually ranked him in Jiu-Jitsu, and he was Shihan's #1 student with police self-defense. And he was there.
Now, he was a Denver
Right.
cop, am I correct?
Right. Now, he would go down in Jiu-Jitsu, and Shihan was, Walter Doris, Red Doris, was Sandan in Jiu-Jitsu, but of course being the sensei, designated sensei of the class, he was the authority in that class. So I studied with them and continued to study and teach until about 1972 or 3, when the American Karate School in Boulder had to relocate because Boulder made a beautiful dojo downtown into a strip mall. Not a strip mall, an elegant walking mall, Pearl Street and Broadway. And
Drove the rent right up, didn't you?
and failing to find affordable rents, I became partners with John Griever, who was from the Kodokan Judo, and Koichi Kashiwaya, who was an Uchideshi, inner student of Koichi Tohei in Aikido. And between us, the three of us, we founded the Rocky Mountain Jujutsu, Judo, and Aikido Society.
Excuse me, Sensei, I want to interrupt for just a moment. I actually brought out a prop for this moment of the conversation. I went up into your attic and dug out an old relic that I
Oh my
suspect maybe
goodness.
you haven't seen in a while, so I thought I'd bring it out and present it as a bit of a memory of
Yes, indeed.
the time there. This, of course, is where I start to have memories of my earliest memories of being involved with martial arts was your dojo there downtown. Now, where exactly was that located?
It was when you started studying in a basement sort of area, just off Broadway and toward 10th Street, or toward the mountains.
Yeah.
So it was just basically on Broadway. But again, it was a temporary facility even there. But we stayed there for quite a little while.
Now, perhaps I don't remember that then. If you then relocated to a more permanent dojo.
Yeah, we actually moved a couple times in the time that we were
It would probably be the last one that you were at that I have recollections of. Where is
Again, that was again right downtown in the immediate area.
Same vicinity.
Near the library would be the best way to put it. So we could go out and go into the big open spaces anytime we wanted to study.
I do remember you had a fairly decent number of students
Mhm.
at the time back then.
Yep.
And I suppose you ran that for how many years?
I would say we remained active for only 3 or 4 years.
Yep.
So that would have been 74 to 76 or 7.
Uh-huh.
And then there was a little hiatus in there where I was trying to decide what we were going to do, and in 1978 we packed up. In 1979 we were in Maine.
Moved to Maine. Yeah.
Part of the things that happened in there, Sensei Doris's wife died unexpectedly, and he had to retire from teaching for a period of time, and the dojo was becoming smaller, and we needed more space, and
Yep.
I was becoming busy with children.
Well,
and other
we
things.
made it to Maine anyhow.
We did.
So I guess it was probably a year or two in Maine before we really got anything going here. I mean, we didn't relocate here till '79,
Right.
and then it must not have really been till about '81, I think. That I suppose it must have been around 1980 that you were working with Arthur
Right.
Rondo for a time as a student, but then you started working with me, I think in the yard a bit in 1981.
About then, yep.
Yeah, and then
As close as I
a
could
couple of
get.
the neighborhood kids, and then we went from there. I suppose it'd be 1982 that we really opened up, or you opened up classes to the public, and we started there in Mallet School as I
That's
had
right.
mentioned.
Mallet School, and we were down at the junior high school for a very short time.
Bounced over there for a few months, I remember, and then we began on the stage was where we were holding classes initially. That was an interesting time. Classes on the stage at the community center, and they finally moved us to the basement where we've remained ever since. Well, very good. I think we need to have another one of these again soon.
I look forward to it.
But I want to thank you very much for taking a few moments to talk about the history and some of your roots, how our dojo came to be where it's at now.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity, and let me say thank you for being the student, the teacher, and the friend that you have been to all these years.
You're very welcome, Sensei. Least I could do. Thank you.
Where'd you get all these white hairs, huh? Where'd they come from?